If you're over 60 and haven't saved a dime for retirement, you might feel like the clock has run out. When something inside you says it's too late, there's nothing you can do. I want you to know that voice is wrong. In fact, not only is there still time to take action, but the steps you take now could shape your future more than anything you did in your 30s or 40s. And no, I'm not talking about some complicated investment scheme or magical fix that promises the world and delivers nothing. I'm talking about 5 grounded, realistic, and truly powerful moves that older adults just like you can start doing right now. No matter what your bank account looks like. This video was created with deep care, especially for those who feel like they've run out of options. Maybe you worked hard your whole life, but life threw curveballs you couldn't dodge. Maybe you raised kids, cared for others, or simply didn't earn enough to save. Or maybe you did save and then the market took it, or medical bills drained it. The truth is, many seniors today are in the same boat, quietly worried, trying to keep up appearances, but feeling the pressure deep inside. If this is you, I want you to know you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not powerless. So stay with me until the end. Whether you're living on Social Security, supporting yourself with side work, or just trying to stretch every dollar, this is for you. These 5 shifts can give you breathing room, direction, and most of all, hope. And that, my friend, is priceless. Let's begin. Number 1, a clear spending plan. The very first move you must make if you've saved nothing for retirement is to take full control of your spending. Not in a vague, I should budget better kind of way, but with a clear, honest, detailed plan that lays everything out in front of you. This is not about cutting out your morning coffee or denying yourself the joy of life. This is about clarity, because clarity is power. When you know exactly where your money's going down to the dollar, you start to see patterns, opportunities, and leaks you never noticed before. The truth is, most people don't really have a spending problem. They have a clarity problem. They think they know where the money's going until they write it down. And for many seniors, especially those living alone or on fixed income, small, repeated expenses add up more than they realize. That subscription that quietly bills every month. The insurance policy with better options now available. The groceries that always seem to go over. The goal isn't to shame or restrict yourself. It's to empower yourself with knowledge so you can make better decisions with confidence. Now, here's the psychological piece no one tells you. When you don't track your spending, your brain fills in the gaps with fear. That's why so many older adults live in constant anxiety about money, because they're operating in the dark. But when you put your numbers on paper, when you create a monthly or even weekly plan, the anxiety starts to fade. Because now you're not reacting to fear. You're acting from knowledge. And that shift alone, going from anxious guessing to calm knowing, can change your entire emotional relationship with money. Let me give you an example. Frank, a 72-year-old widower I met through a senior center workshop, was convinced he didn't have enough to make it past the next year. He was skipping meals, avoiding doctor visits, and losing sleep at night. But when we sat down and wrote out every expense, rent, utilities, food, transport, medications, he realized something shocking. He actually had enough to live on, but he was overspending in small, unnoticed ways. A gym membership he hadn't used in 6 months, a premium cable package when all he watched was the news. After trimming those down, not only did he balance his budget, he freed up enough to finally visit his granddaughter across the country, something he'd put off for years. That's the power of a clear spending plan. It isn't about living less. It's about living smarter. And the good news, you don't need fancy software. A notebook, a pen, and a commitment to review it weekly is enough. In fact, writing it out by hand often gives you a stronger sense of ownership, because when you see it in your own writing, it becomes real. And from there, real change can begin. Number 2, earn with dignity. Once you've taken control of your spending, the next step is to create income. Not just any income, but something that allows you to earn with dignity at this stage of life. No one wants to be treated like they're desperate or incapable, and truthfully, you're not. You've got decades of wisdom, patience, and real-world experience that younger generations just don't have. That's valuable. So, the key is finding ways to turn that value into income, your terms. Here's the good news. The way people earn money today has changed. You no longer need to punch a clock or work full-time to make ends meet. Many seniors are earning in flexible, creative, even enjoyable ways. Some offer tutoring in subjects they've mastered over the years: math, music, language. Others drive part-time for rideshare apps, run errands for neighbors, or become pet sitters for folks who travel often. You might even offer companionship services through senior networks or local agencies, just being a reliable presence for someone else who's lonely or needs help. What matters is this: you're not starting over. You're building from who you already are. One man I met, Harold, aged 68, was a retired mechanic. For a while, he thought his days of making money were behind him. But then he began helping neighbors fix small engine problems: lawnmowers, generators, scooters. Word spread, and now he makes a few hundred a month, working just a few hours each week right from his garage. That money, it covers his groceries and gas, and gives him a sense of usefulness he thought he'd lost. Here's the psychological truth behind this: purpose matters more than paycheck. Yes, income is important, but feeling needed, feeling capable, and feeling respected, those are what really drive our motivation and joy in later years. When you earn in ways that align with your values, it fuels your spirit, not just your wallet. But maybe you're thinking, I don't have a skill to offer. Well, I gently challenge that thought. If you've raised kids, you've managed logistics. If you've worked any job, you've dealt with people. If you've been through hard times and come out stronger, you've got resilience and insight others need. There's someone out there who would pay to learn what you already know, and remember, it doesn't have to be big. Even an extra $200 or $300 a month can be life-changing when you're living lean. That could mean affording better food, seeing a doctor you trust, or simply not stressing when a utility bill arrives. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3, downsize with strategy. After securing a bit of income, the next smart move is to simplify your living situation in a way that serves you, not just your budget. Downsizing isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of what no longer supports your goals, your peace, or your physical comfort. And truthfully, many seniors are living in homes that once made sense when kids were around, when jobs were local, but now those homes feel like burdens. Big spaces mean bigger bills, more maintenance, and more isolation. And here's something you may not have considered. Your house might be costing you more emotionally than financially. If it feels empty, if every creaky floorboard reminds you of a chapter that's closed, it might be time to start fresh in a space that better fits this next chapter. I'm not saying run off and live in a camper unless that's what you want. I'm saying look around and ask, does where I live still fit how I live now? Strategic downsizing can free up a surprising amount of money. Sell a house and move into a smaller apartment. You may walk away with thousands in your pocket and a rent you can easily handle. Live in a 2-bedroom condo and rent out the other room to a fellow senior or traveling nurse. That rent check could pay most of your monthly expenses. Move in with a relative or join a senior co-housing group. You not only reduce costs, but you gain companionship and safety. One gentleman I met named Frank was 75 and living alone in a 3-bedroom house after his wife passed. He struggled to keep up with the yard, the repairs, the property taxes. After months of anxiety, he sold the home and moved into a quiet senior apartment building with a built-in community. His words, "I stopped feeling like I was drowning in memories and started feeling free." Frank's rent was lower than the upkeep on his house, and with the money he made from the sale, he finally felt secure again. Psychologically, this decision is powerful. Why? Because when we declutter our space, we declutter our minds. When we take charge of our environment, we stop feeling like victims of our circumstances and start feeling like authors of our own story. And that sense of control that is one of the biggest predictors of happiness in older adults. It's not just about money, it's about energy. Every light bulb you don't have to replace, every staircase you don't have to climb, every weed you don't have to pull, those are little bits of energy you save. Energy you can redirect into something meaningful, a part-time hobby, a walking group, reconnecting with friends. Number 4, rethink what you can offer. This next step is where everything begins to turn around, because once you've reduced your financial strain and found some footing, the real opportunity appears. And it's not just about money, it's about discovering or rediscovering that you still have something to offer. And when you realize that something powerful happens inside, you stop seeing yourself as a burden or someone past your prime, and you start seeing yourself as a someone valuable because you are now. This doesn't mean going back to a 9-to-5 job. It means asking, what do I already know that someone else might need? Maybe you spent years working with your hands, plumbing, carpentry, or auto repair. That's knowledge people are hungry to learn. Maybe you raised 4 kids, managed a household, and always made ends meet. Do you know how many young families would love help managing their own chaos? Maybe you were a nurse, a teacher, a cook, or simply someone who knows how to listen with patience. Asterisk, asterisk, that's gold in today's world. You see, the biggest mistake we make after 60 is assuming we're done contributing. But the truth is, seniors have the most to give, and often in the most meaningful ways. And when you begin offering what you already have, your wisdom, your time, your carrot, can become a source of income and healing. It gives structure to your days. purpose to your steps, and confidence to your heart. Let me tell you about a woman named Carol. She's 69 and spent most of her life as a homemaker. After her husband passed and the kids moved away, she felt lost, both financially and emotionally. One day, her neighbor asked if she could babysit for a few hours. That turned into regular childcare, then tutoring, then meal prep for a few other families. Within a year, Carol had a part-time income, a new network of friends, and something to look forward to each week. Not to mention, the families trusted her like she was their own mom. There are senior men teaching young boys how to work with tools again. There are grandmothers making home-cooked meals for delivery services. Some are mentoring online, sharing life lessons on YouTube, or helping nonprofits with admin tasks. And yes, some are even starting small businesses in their 70s. It's not just possible. It's happening quietly every day. Psychologically, this shift is key. When you feel needed, when you feel useful, your brain lights up differently. You feel more energized, more optimistic, and more willing to face the challenges of aging. It's a reminder that your life still has momentum, that you're not winding down. You're just changing gears, so look in the mirror and ask, what do I know? What have I lived through? What skills have I quietly mastered that the world still needs? Your answers may surprise you. And your next chapter, it might just begin there. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe. And turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5. Rebuild a purpose-based routine. Once you've cut costs, taken care of your basics, and started sharing your gifts again, you might still find yourself waking up some mornings wondering, what now? And that's where this 5th step makes all the difference. Rebuilding your routine, but this time around, purpose. Not just filling time, but filling it with things that actually matter to you. Because even if you didn't save a dime for retirement, it doesn't mean your life has to feel empty or aimless. Let's be honest. One of the hardest things about getting older, especially without a financial cushion, is losing that structure we had for decades. When you worked, you had a reason to wake up, places to go, people who counted on you. Once that's gone, the days can blend together. And that's when feelings of sadness, anxiety, and even worthlessness can start to creep in. But here's the truth. You don't need a paycheck to feel fulfilled. You just need purpose. Rebuilding a purpose-based routine means designing your days around things that feed your soul, challenge your mind, and give you a reason to get up and get dressed. It could be something as simple as volunteering every Tuesday at the local food bank, or walking your neighbor's dog every morning at 8, or calling your grandson to read him a story each evening. Small things, yes, but done with intention. They bring rhythm and meaning to life in ways that money can't buy. Think about Bob, a 72-year-old man I met through a community group. He'd spent his whole life in construction, never made much money, didn't save, and after an injury, he retired early, bitter and bored. But then a local church asked him to help supervise some teenagers who were building planter boxes for the neighborhood. At first, he thought it was silly, but week after week, those teens kept showing up. and they kept asking him for advice, for stories, for help. Bob didn't just find something to do, he found something that mattered, and that changed everything. When your days have shape, you feel more grounded. When your actions serve others, you feel more valuable. And when your time is used with purpose, you begin to believe that your life still counts, because it does. This kind of daily structure also reduces stress, lowers the risk of depression, and even improves physical health. Studies have shown, again and again, that seniors with consistent routines and meaningful activities have better heart health, stronger immune systems, and even slower cognitive decline. So, what could your routine look like? Maybe Mondays are for community gardening. Tuesdays are for calling old friends. Wednesdays you volunteer at the library. Thursdays you cook for someone. Fridays you write. Saturdays you rest. Sundays you walk. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be yours, built around what you can do, not what you can't. The best part? When you live this way, your days begin to feel full, not busy, but meaningful. And that feeling of being alive, of being needed, of being in motion, that's the true wealth of retirement. Whether you've saved up or not, purpose is the one deposit you can always make, and it pays interest every single day. Frank, final thoughts. Now, if you've made it this far, I want to take a moment and speak from the heart. Because if you're between 60 and 80 years old and looking at your retirement savings, or the lack of it, and feeling overwhelmed, ashamed, or even hopeless, I want you to know something that matters more than anything I've said today. You are not a failure. You are not too late. And this life of yours, right now, is still full of possibility. You see, we live in a world that tells us retirement should look a certain way, that if you haven't saved up 6 or 7 figures by the time you hit your 60s, you've somehow done something wrong. But the truth? That picture was painted for a very small group of people, in very specific circumstances. For most hardworking folks who raise families, work steady jobs, face medical bills, supported aging parents or grown kids, retirement didn't come with a silver platter. It came with a few dents, a lot of stories, and a heart that's still trying its best. And that's enough. You're enough. The 5 recommendations we shared today weren't about getting rich overnight. They were about reclaiming your power, taking back control one decision at a time, building a life rooted in simplicity, community, purpose, and emotional strength. Because those are the things that carry you forward. Those are the things that matter most in this chapter of your life. And if any part of today's message resonated with you, if it sparked a thought, lifted a weight, or gave you just a little bit of hope, I encourage you to carry that forward. Don't just close this video and go back to worrying. Take one small action. Reach out to someone. Write a plan. Breathe deeply and say, I can start today. Because starting today is how every story of transformation begins. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.